session on cybersecurity and digital resilience, part of the 31st Tirana International Fair. My name is Enriko Ceko. I am head of Business Administration and Information Technology Department at the Canadian Institute of Technology, as well as the lead auditor for most of ISO standards which cover the area of cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, digitalization. And I'm going to moderate this 1-hour panel with discussions, and I do believe that our distinguished experts which are with us today are going to share their expertise and what they think about today and the future of the sector. So we are honored to have 4 distinguished experts with us today. George Busby, founder of Burstock with over 30 years in the British Foreign Service and expertise in national security strategies. Charles White, Executive Director of the Cyber Scheme, a leading authority in industrial system security and cybersecurity professional training. Floresha Faber, Deputy Director of the National Cyber Security Authority, leading Albania's national cyber governance efforts. Besa Velaj, Director of the Information and Data Protection Commissioner's Cabinet, ensuring data protection and privacy standards. So during this session, we will explore topics such as national cybersecurity, business risk management, international collaboration, and the role of innovation, and we'll structure the discussion in 3 rounds. Each round focuses on a key theme, and every speaker will contribute, giving us a 360-degree perspective on cybersecurity, digital resilience, business risk, and data protection. So let's go to the first round of questions. National and international cybersecurity strategy. So the focus of the first round of questions is national cybersecurity frameworks, international partnerships, and strategic vision. So let's start with Mr. George. From your international security experience, what lessons can Albania learn to strengthen its national cybersecurity?
Okay. Well, it's a pleasure to be here tonight, and thank you for the opportunity to join the panel. It's also a pleasure to see so many young people sitting here at 5 o'clock on a Friday evening, when at your age I would have been in the pub already. But I mean, it's great to see you here because you know, this is your future, and cybersecurity plays a big role in the future of this country. And it's also good to see you here because I think that, you know, with the work that your government is doing, there's going to be a lot of really good quality jobs for you in the field of cybersecurity, if that's where your skills lie. Certainly, any cybersecurity strategy does rely upon having a source of talented and qualified people. So any cybersecurity strategy will create an education strategy to make sure that you can help to keep this country safe and prosperous. We have had very interesting talks with the government here, and I think I can say with some confidence that your government is pursuing a very sensible, forward-looking strategy. I think probably one of the best things that happened to Albania from a security perspective is undergoing a major attack a couple of years ago. And of course, that was expensive for you. You know, you suffered losses, but I think it was, you know, a bit like getting bitten by a dog. It teaches you to be respectful and careful of dogs. And I think Albania has learned a lesson that cybersecurity is not just a theoretical possibility, but it really can happen to you. And that was just the attack that you saw. The ones you need to worry about are the ones that you can't see, but are doing damage in a hidden way.
Yeah, thank you. Well, these kind of discussions are like the dress of the lady. If the dress is too long, there is no curiosity. But if the dress is too short, there is not interest. So we have to answer in 2 or 3 minutes for every question. So let's go to the Albanian side. Floresha, how are these lessons being translated into the Albanian National Cyber Security Strategy?
First of all, thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to be in this panel. The National Authority on Cybersecurity works in different dimensions on cybersecurity, and I'm happy to see many students here coming to have an interest on cybersecurity and to listen to us. I hope this is a good sign that people understand that there is a future on cybersecurity as profession, because it is. It is almost on the same level that with the future in digitalization, because everyone, and especially you as young people and the ones who will start things, your own things from the scratch, need to understand that whatever you do in IT, you have to think of how to secure your products, your data, everything that you do. I'm happy to hear positive comments from what the Albanian government is doing, and I thought I'll go a little bit around on what actually the new strategy on cybersecurity, which was just passed last month as a decision of the government, includes. So hopefully it resonates with people in the audience to see their interest on the future.
Thank you.
If I, I understand the few minutes, but just to go in, at least in the main pillars on the strategy, because I think it's important to see where the strategy is focused in the coming years. Albania has an authority on cybersecurity in over 10 years now, but for wrong reasons, because of the attack which was mentioned here, we got big steps forward on what have to do with protecting all the infrastructures and all the products on technology. The new strategy on cybersecurity is focused in 5 main pillars. The main one, which is the majority of the work that we do, is protecting the critical and important infrastructures, which as we speak today, we have over 300 of them which are identified, with which the authority works specifically on helping them and supporting in the needs they have on advancing in technology, in people, and changing their processes in a way that protects the business that they do every day. When you have a business which is heavily based on IT, you have to protect to be sure that you have your system secure, because if something happens, one day you cannot serve your client, you cannot serve your people, and that's not only your main business, but in majority of cases for the critical infrastructures, that means people will not have the services that they need daily. For example, in a cybersecurity attack, the street lights might not work, the banks might not work, the transportation does not work because the systems don't work. But for people who, majority of you I haven't met, I come at the profession of cybersecurity after working with businesses for over 15 years and working as a diplomat for another 10 years. And a lot of people ask me what you do on cybersecurity. The people have understand that cybersecurity is much more than actually the technical part. And this is where a lot of us come in. In cybersecurity, we need to do the strategies, we need to change the laws, we need to invest on technology, we need to have educated people, but there is a lot to do. And in a big part, what is also the second big pillar of the strategy is the awareness of people, what it means for you to be educated on cybersecurity. Because you can be an IT expert, but you are also an individual who works with computer or with your phones daily. So it's important for you to understand what it means to protect not only the workplace that you work daily, but what it means to protect yourself, your own data, your passwords, your integrity online. So a big focus on educating people on cybersecurity is also the second pillar of the strategy. The other three pillars are focused on international and foreign relations. Now it's accepted internationally that in cybersecurity, if you have an attack, the attack can go and have an effect crossing borders in a day. And it's not like other attacks that can bring issues on security of a country, where we're used to see, I don't know, guns or drones or something physical happening. With cybersecurity, unfortunately, there are systems connected to each other that something happening in one country can have an easily affect somewhere else. Like if you have a bank which operates in Albania, but it's a part of a larger group that operates throughout Europe, it doesn't matter where the attack is, the effect can come easily to you in one day. So that's why international relations and connections are very important. And as a decision of the government, that's a big focus we are also focused on for the coming years. The last two ones, even though they are not the least, are the focus on startups and R&D, research and developments. So I believe this is where the next part of working with you and with students from the university comes. It's important that we see more people coming to the profession and look at cybersecurity as new opportunities for your startups, for new projects that you do at school, for what is needed in the market. And we see new opportunities coming from UK, from also internationally, and this is a big match. We hope to all together work so we can bring new opportunities and support for you. And the last but not the least is focus on what's the hybrid threats, because cybersecurity can come in parallel with other distractions. I mentioned the street lights a little bit before. They don't work, people go, you can have a crash, there is an issue. I don't know, the hydropower stations might have big issues, the electricity is not there. So there's always this chain effect. That's why misinformation is very important. If there are, through the platform, the social media, there is a big information which is not true given, and people are panicked. So those are types of things which that's the briefest way I can talk about what we're focusing on the new strategy on cybersecurity. Thank you.
Mr. Charles, from a business perspective, how do national strategies impact companies' cybersecurity preparedness? So I do believe we all remember this case of Cambridge Analytics or British Airways data breach, this stuff.
Yes, indeed. Well, we've just had Jaguar Land Rover. Sorry, we've just had Jaguar Land Rover with quite a significant breach that's brought production of Jaguar vehicles to a halt for almost 3 months. I think it's fair to, I don't think I'm telling any confidences to say that's cost £1.5 billion just to shore up the supply chain. So that is it's quite a significant fee to have to pay for the problem. From my point of view, because I'm really here to talk about the education, and it's great to see, as George said, young people here, hopefully doing cyber degrees, etc. We know from, or I know from experience, putting people through an educational program to give them cybersecurity skills is really, really important, because you're learning knowledge. But what you also need to learn and need to understand is you need to gain skills, and you need to gain abilities, and you need to be able to put skills and abilities together to create tasks. So knowledge in and of itself is not the end of the cybersecurity ladder or journey. The way that the UK and European partners and some global partners, as we talk about the International Coalition of Cybersecurity Skills, what that is doing is it's looking to bring a more international skills framework for everybody, founded on the principles of chartership. So you probably understand the principles of chartered engineer, or a doctor that's a registered doctor. The whole principle here is that we're looking to create an official register of competent people. That doesn't mean that everybody comes in as a super expert, skilled person. If you're at university doing a degree in cybersecurity or engineering or science or computer science, whatever, there is lots of room for you to come in as an associate, but that is the first leg on the ladder on through your career. What we all don't want to see is people in their career fearing that they must go and obtain certificates of competence within lots and lots of different things. So forgive me, all my colleagues out there from SANS and CompTIA and IC Squared and all the other manufacturers out there that have all these exams. They are just sort of badges that need to be collected. They don't in and of themselves determine whether anybody is competent or capable. So having the ability to demonstrate your competence and ability by demonstrating that you are at a chartered level is the way that we believe and perceive that we can help develop cyber talent. And in some instances, there are many people in the UK, in Europe, I'm sure here in Albania, that may not be able to afford or can't or don't want to go to university to learn their cyber skills. As Elon Musk once said, if you really bother, and forgive me, Professor, but if you really bother to go and search the internet, there are some astonishingly good resources that will teach you some of the core technical skills that you need to know. If you have the capacity to learn, there is some amazing resources that are out there that will help people to learn these skills. And we shouldn't ignore that talent pool because they don't have a university degree. We don't have necessarily the latitude, the time to put everybody through a 3-year, 2-year, whatever degree course. We have a problem today. We have nation-state actors today, and we need to build our capability today. So hopefully that. So.
Thank you. Let's go to the fourth panelist, Besa, from Data Protection Commissioner Cabinet. How can Albanian organizations ensure compliance with EU and international data protection standards while remaining competitive?
As many of you are aware, since December last year, Albania has a new data protection law, which is fully aligned with the EU regulatory framework. And the reasons that led to this new law are perhaps quite clear to all of you. A new regulatory framework was necessary in order to respond to the challenges that the technological development posed to companies and to individuals. So this new law was necessary since the previous one was not fit for such purpose anymore. The new regulatory framework introduces a new approach as far as the interaction or relationship between companies and the data protection authority, supervising authority is concerned. And this new approach, returning to your question, must be seen as an opportunity. So to ensure compliance while remaining competitive is possible because it must be seen, compliance must be seen as opportunity. The first step or the first challenge is the proper understanding of the importance of data protection by the governance of the companies. Once we have succeeded in this step, then we are at the point that we can see data protection compliance as opportunity because it's a fundamental right recognized by the Albanian Constitution. It helps to build trust. It prevents cyber incidents and fraud, and it saves time and money compliance with these standards.
Thank you. Let's make a short sum up of the first session. I really loved what Mr. George says about the young people, for which it's a good opportunity for them. But this has to be in compliance with the new strategy that we have for cybersecurity, as well as with the new law of data protection, which took place in 1st of February, I do believe. Huh?
Entered into force.
Entered
Yes, it was
into force.
adopted in December and entered into
Yes,
force.
and what I love the most is what Mr. Charles says. We need a register of technicians, chartered. We do have in Albania chartered accountants, this stuff, chartered veterinaries, but it comes a time that we must have this kind of chartered, registered specialists of artificial intelligence, digitalization, data protection, cybersecurity. It is a must, I do believe. So,
Our institution is trying to tailor one in terms of data protection officers. Indeed, we are trying to build this kind of register, yes, a network, but also as a register that anybody can consult and, let's say, consult which are the data protection officers.
okay, let's go to the second round, but please, a bit shorter answers. Business risk and operational resilience. So we are going to focus at SMEs, critical sectors, workforce and industrial systems. So let's go with the first question, which is directed to Mr. Charles. What are the most pressing cybersecurity risks for business generally, but even for Albanian business today, if you
Sorry,
can have any idea?
could you repeat that? Sorry.
Yeah. What are the most pressing cybersecurity risks for businesses today, Albanian companies included?
I think one of the biggest priorities that I see today, to Flora's point, the electricity grid not being able to produce electricity, which means that we can't go about our lives, whether you're in Paris, London, or here in Tirana. That's a problem. That means that we have to bring together the knowledge, skill and capability of engineers that build infrastructure with cybersecurity experts. And I'm sure you probably know, bringing together engineers and IT people is not the easiest challenge in the world. IT people like to think of IT projects in a pretty linear approach. I have a project plan, I have a delivery, and then I go away because you carry on using it. Engineers tend to think more about health and safety and what happens and how do I do it. So bringing those two together is a challenge, and we find that in the whole of Europe as we try to secure more and more those electricity power lines, the street lights, etc. So that's one big area, and that resilience is key. You also mentioned specifically within some SMEs. SME organizations very often find themselves to be part of the supply chain for larger organizations. The moment you are in the supply chain for a larger organization, you are highly likely to be a target for either serious and organized crime or nation state, because you will be perceived to be a lower hanging fruit, an easier target to attack, in order that they can then pivot to the original target. So a lot of people think, well, I'm just an SME, who cares? Why will anybody want to hack me? The answer is nobody does care about you. Nobody really wants to hack you. Actually, what they want to do is get at your client. And if they do that, it's unlikely that you will have that client at the end of this entire exercise. So you do need to take cybersecurity quite seriously. So those would be the key areas that I think are an issue.
Thank you. George, from an investment and innovation perspective, how can businesses better prepare for cyber threats?
Well, I think one of the most attractive things about Albania for investors is a very stable environment now. It's politically stable, good regulatory environment. But obviously, investors will look at risk. Is this a risky area from a cyber perspective? The government must and does play an important convening role and a leadership role in establishing defences. However, you won't defeat this until every citizen recognises their own responsibility at the individual level, not giving people details in a scam phone call, but for every business to take responsibility within the framework and strategy that the government has set. So it's really important for Albania to try and achieve that cultural change where every individual, every business, every government department recognizes its responsibility to protect data.
Thank you. Floresha, what measures does the National Cyber Security Authority recommend for critical sectors? And I do believe this has been included at the strategy as well.
If we're talking about the risks in cybersecurity, the core of business of cybersecurity is really perceiving what the risks are, and what is different also, what Albania has been doing in the last 2-3 years and with the new strategy, is not only to wait and see what happens and then react, but be also proactive in what can come in the future. So measuring risks is really one of the big topics of where we are focused on. And as we speak today, the authority does the measurement of risks in cybersecurity in 3 levels. We work with the critical and important infrastructure, and every 3 months we produce a report, and we measure the risk in the unit level, or the business or government entity. We measure the risk in every sector, and we measure the risk as the entire country risk in cybersecurity. The reason why we do it is so often is because the new and emerging technologies are changing very fast, which means also in cybersecurity we have new AI, new technologies that can help the attackers in the same way that help us to be prepared for those attacks. So the risks, as I said, can be in many folds. The risk, if we're still going back to the small businesses, the risk can be for criminals. They can come to you for cash, for petty cash, or they can attack you, and then your business, you can go out of business because in the way you operated before, you can continue your operation depending on how much your business is based on IT systems. But when it comes for big companies and critical and important infrastructure, the big risk is the business line that they have, the services they offer to people, the protecting of their data, and what is very key to measure is how long it takes them to go back to business if they are after a big cyber attack. And in order to understand what is the risk landscape towards you, it's really many aspects you have to see it. We at the authority work very closely with all those 300 critical infrastructures that we have in almost daily communication, because if we see new threats coming in, if we see a big attack happening somewhere in the region or in Europe or in business that have a branch to Albania, we can talk to them daily. We have a center which looks after for every 24/7, looking after critical and important infrastructures in looking at all types of attacks that they have. The attacks to certain critical infrastructures can come from big players, from political reasons, can come for commercial reasons, and we look at all those models in order to be prepared. And is for some who maybe need to understand what actually goes on, it's like in a football game. You get prepared, you believe you have very good goal keepers, but even if you are the best team, you still sometimes have a goal. It's the same on cybersecurity. You get prepared to see in all directions where the attack can come from. Unfortunately, sometimes they can go through because of the new technologies. Albania has been attacked. We have come with a public number. Every 3 minutes, we have a serious attempt for cyber attack to our critical and important infrastructures. And last year only, we had about 48 incidents. We worked hard so none of them become major incidents, but in order to reach this, it's really, really a hard work of a team of excellent teams inside the authority, inside the critical and important infrastructures, and a good understanding of decision makers that they, as part of their investment, cybersecurity now it's a very important part.
Thank you. Besa, how can companies align risk management with data protection compliance? How can companies align risk management with data protection compliance?
Indeed, risk management is one of the elements of data protection compliance. So many of you might be aware that cybersecurity is strictly connected and intersected with data protection sector. So one of the main innovations, main novelties that the new law has introduced in the Albanian legislation is the data protection impact assessment. It's a very effective tool to address risks and to identify ways and measures and instruments on how to mitigate them. So, being one of the obligations that the new law poses for data controllers, so companies, there is no, let's say, no contradiction between risk management and data protection compliance. They go hand in hand, and risk management is one of the... Yes, so they go hand in hand. So in order to ensure compliance with data protection rules, risk management is one of the main tools. Indeed, if we see also the security measures that companies must take in order to be compliant with the data protection law, we can identify a lot of elements or a lot of terms that are associated also to cybersecurity, from encryption, from integrity, availability, and validation of the system. So they go hand to hand. There is no contrariety between.
So I'm going to make a sum up of the second round of questions, but I have a question for all of you at the end of this sum up. So I do believe it was an agreement between all of you when we talk about the organized crime which attack public and private organizations. So we need experts, especially experts on IT, on project management, which it's a difficult area to provide skills, knowledge, and competences for young generation. And we have the issue of energy, which Charles already mentioned. To develop the IT, artificial intelligence, digitalization, we need energy. So it's a critical risk factor. So going to George raised the issue of risk for SMEs worldwide, as well Albania included. I do believe George mentioned the territory of Balkans, which is a territory which is considered as a high-risk area, and Albania included. So Floresha mentioned reacting or preventing. So which we have to choose, to react or to prevent? Which of them is good or more difficult to... And Besa mentioned very carefully and clearly being in compliance with law, with standards. So let's consider that situation. We are attacked. So these are bad guys. We are good guys. If we react, we try to protect ourselves. If we are proactive, does this make us bad guys? And at the end of the day, we will have only bad guys on floor? This is a question for all of you.
Okay, maybe I can go first. Now, when we say being proactive, and I'm very happy you made the question, being proactive means you have to be prepared for what can happen. If you have a big attack, first of all, that means it's attack against your entity, which can be a government or a private. It's an attack that interrupts your daily business, your daily services. And the first question that you have is how to go back to business. If most of you are young here, but if you remember 2022 big attack, the attack was big in the effect it had because of the digitalization of all the services of the Albanian governments with the Albanian people. So if we had only a small session of services towards people, that means the attack wouldn't have that effect. Because at that time, we had over 90%, and today the Albanian government has 97% of all services given to their citizens, it's online. As you know, now through e-Albania, you have to register online, you go to kindergarten, you go to university, you go to the doctor, you pay all bills, everything is online. So if there is an attack to the system, of course, the scale of effect, it will be big. So one of the main concerns is how you go back to business, how you go back to serving the citizens. Being proactive means taking all the measures that if one day like this comes, what you do. Where is your backup data? How can you serve to citizens? How can you serve to people in hospital? How can you serve to people that need energy? And how to protect the data of citizens, which is a very, very important aspect. So it's only one part I'm mentioning. So being proactive means if an attack happens, you know first day where you call, you know how you communicate to the public, you know when to if you're a private business, when to tell your customers something has happened, because there is always a mix or you are in a trade-off between having an information out, but everyone becomes panic, like the bank doesn't work. Does that mean you're not going to have money for a month? You cannot get any cash from the bank? Does it mean you don't know with what to buy the next day? So those are all trade-offs that you, when you are proactive means you have to be prepared that when the day comes, in Albanians they know what it means. Kur vjen dita e qametit, you know what to do. You know how you are prepared. You know what law to apply. So you know when to go and speak with the public. You know when to go and speak with your superiors. So all those measures, and this is what we are working on. As we work at the authority, for our authority, which used to be 20 people, by the way, now it is over 80, we work in the same level with all the critical and important infrastructures. We do, if it needs, we do daily talks with them, but we do for sure every single week at least one event which is training or workshop. Like we had big one yesterday, we had over 300 people in the room because they were very interested to understand what is the risk measurement, how you can include cybersecurity risk inside the way you measure your risk inside your companies. I'll stop here because
thank you.
You're
Well, let's go to the third round of questions. Currently there is, per every second, around 11,000 attacks worldwide. And this costs to SMEs, especially to SMEs that are attacked, average $60,000 per year. Per every SME which is attacked. You know, $60,000 per SME is too much. Huh? Some of them even, they cannot afford it. So the third round, it's about innovation, artificial intelligence, public-private cooperation and trust, with focus on artificial intelligence, emerging technologies, partnership, and digital trust. So let's start with Besa. Besa, how is artificial intelligence influencing data privacy and compliance requirements?
Certainly, we cannot say that artificial intelligence does not pose a challenge to data protection or data privacy. But data protection rules does not stand to impede technology development, neither artificial intelligence. Quite the opposite. Artificial intelligence can be beneficial to societies and economies, provided that it is compliant with data protection standards, data protection principles, and provided that all obligations arising out of the law on personal data protection are properly fulfilled. And by implementing properly the data protection rules, we mean implementing and having care for data ethics, for data protection principles like data minimization, lawfulness, fairness and transparency, purpose limitation, storage limitation, accountability, etc. All of the principles that lay at the basis of data protection. And when we talk about obligations, it's about data protection impact assessment that we are talking, because considering the risks that artificial intelligence might pose on personal data, data protection impact assessment is a very effective tool to address and identify these risks and properly mitigate and address them. So artificial intelligence is not the enemy of data protection, provided that they respect each other.
Thank you. George, what opportunities do artificial intelligence and the digital innovation bring to national security and resiliency?
I'm going to defer to my colleague Charles on that, but I just wanted to say something. I just wanted to say something about the public-private sector initiative that you mentioned. Again, I don't think the state has the resources to solve this problem. The state has to set the partnership and the rules and the strategy, but it's up to the private sector. And this is why I think by creating standards for companies to aspire to in their staff and in their the methods they use, and only these companies being able to get insurance or being able to apply for government tenders, you then unleash private businesses to educate their people, to create jobs for, well-paid and interesting jobs for the people in the audience tonight, and thereby to sort of drive the implementation of the framework set by government.
Thank you. Floresha, how can public-private partnership be leveraged to foster a sustainable digital ecosystem?
First of all, this is a key component on cybersecurity. We work across sectors, if it's public, if it's private, if it's SME, if it's individuals, because in cybersecurity it's important that everyone is involved to the level of how much they work with they have kind of a cybersecurity dependence, or how they work with the IT systems. Why it's important? First, because you mentioned AI, it's quantum computers, is all the new technologies which are in hands on both sides, of the attackers and also of the experts of cybersecurity. The point is that how we get the best advantage of those new technologies in order to protect our critical and important infrastructures. Private sector is like the main source of bringing the tools, bringing the softwares, and bringing, in a lot of time, the trainings towards the individuals who work on the sector. And this cooperation really, it doesn't, so you cannot in any way be outside of this strong cooperation. What in Albania in cybersecurity is very important, that we have understood that we work the same way with all the critical infrastructure, no matter if they are private or public sector. We bring them all together in those training and awareness room. We bring them together in many simulations we do in using different technologies. when we cannot invest, sometimes we use the open source technologies, and we use any source possible. We have a lot of support from international donors, partners. The Albanian government has put a special emphasis on cybersecurity in training the people who work with the government sector on cybersecurity. So altogether, this plays a big role in order that the whole ecosystem, first of all, for everyone to understand that it doesn't matter which part of the system you are. You can't say, I'm protecting myself. Well, I don't care what the business next door does. Because in the way things are related in our daily life, you cannot be outside of this dependence if there is a big cyber attack. If you don't share information in the right moment. You can be competitors, but you are on the same sector. And if you are used to week after week and month after month be together on the same room because you get trained together, it's going to be easier even when the moment comes that you need to share information with each other. That's inside the country, but that's internationally as well. In a lot of governments, when they have big cyber attacks, they go, because of the laws of the country, they work in coming back to the normal services with their internal country sources or only with small organization that can come from abroad. For example, if you're a NATO country, you can get support from other NATO members. But in case of 2022, one of the big supporters for us was Microsoft. So the support came from the private sector. So of course there is this type of relationship that go hand by hand. And in cybersecurity, sharing is very important. Sharing with your sector, sharing within your country, sharing internationally. So still going back to the proactive, knowing who you talk to internationally when it comes, for example, there are big attacks coming from a certain country. Sometimes those go to one part of the world, and then you see that that model came to Albania. You go back to talk to those people, how you treat those APTs, how you treat those type of attacks that you have. That's why the relationship in cybersecurity is extremely important in every level.
Thank you. Charles, how should companies integrate artificial intelligence and innovation without compromising security?
I was just listening to the points about how you need to protect yourself, etc. Everything that you just said, and I was reflecting on a conversation I happened to have with a police force, not the UK, but a police force, where the police officers were wearing body cams, and to make life easier, they used artificial intelligence to stream the video, to write out the details, and that all went into artificial intelligence until somebody realized that actually that was also being shared generally on the internet. So we need to be really careful how we adopt artificial intelligence. There are probably more advantages, I'm afraid, for the attackers. Advanced persistent threats, writing new malware, writing new scripts, inject codes, all those great things can all be done by downloading existing code off the dark web and then maneuvering it with AI. So I think that's probably why there is a general consensus out there that we need to have some more controls over what AI is doing and where it's going. Equally, I had a conversation with the Robotics Centre in the UK, who were concerned that robots are coming, there are artificial intelligence within them, but we don't have an awful lot of experience about what the code has actually got in it. I think it was the head of our National Cyber Security Centre, the technical director, Ollie Whitehouse, that once said, we know more about what's in our sausages than we do in our code. And that is a really salutary lesson for everybody, because that's probably the same across the globe.
Thank you. So let's make a sum up of the third round of questions. So I do believe all of us agreed that as George mentioned, state sets rules and companies have to follow standards. Why? What is a standard? Standard is related to processes, procedures, regulations, and records. So if only one of these elements is missing, there is no standard, and if there is no standard, there is no system. So that's why we need a collaboration between public sector and private sector, setting rules, respecting recognized international and local standards. So I do believe we achieved our objective to have around 1 hour panel, but now is the floor for comments and questions from the people that are together here with us. Yeah.
Mirëmbrëma, Ardiana Topi nga Universiteti Evropian I Tiranës. Faleminderit të gjithë folësve në panel. Besoj dëgjohen apo jo? Okej. Okej. Jo, sa të vendosin që kufjet.
Oh, right.
Një pyetje për zonjën Faber, por mbasi të bëj një falënderim special për institucionin që ajo përfaqëson sot, për nismat për kualifikimin apo trajnimin e studentëve në rang kombëtar, jo vetëm në universitetin tonë. Pyetja ime është konkrete në fakt, në këtë luftën kibernetike, ku për hir të së vërtetës tereni është shumë I vështirë, nuk është si luftrat në teren fizik, është shumë dinamik, shumë I ndryshueshëm, shumë sfidues. Si e shikoni ju si institucioni kryesor, le të them në sigurinë kibernetike bashkëpunimi me akademinë? Dhe a keni ju një plan konkret për ngritjen e një ekipi kërkimor, pikërisht për t'i vënë në punë ato shtyllat kryesore të strategjisë parandalimin e sfidave të cilat ne nuk I dimë, se ato që janë gjatë të ditura është shumë e thjeshtë për t'i identifikuar dhe për t'i parandaluar. Faleminderit.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to respond to this question, because actually the authority has so many initiatives, and one good part of what we do is working with universities. Starting since last year, we have gone around the country on contacting and having a close cooperation with as many universities. We're trying to hit every university that is in Albania, in order first to set up a cooperation and explain that we are ready to work with universities. And we have started offering training. We have done training in over 15 universities. I know the next one is on Monday, for sure, for example. Another big initiative is what we call the National Marathon, where we have gathered over 25 universities around the country, and we have invited their students to be part of numerous trainings and kind of competition. So we will have the first round of winners, I would say, this December of the National Marathon. And we're having 2 other rounds of working with specifically a marathon on cybersecurity, for women in cybersecurity, and also for people with disabilities. When I said that one of the pillars of our strategy is working with people, that means working not only with employees of those over 300 critical and important infrastructures, but we're also working specifically with children, with educators, with different groups who, one way or another, like, as I said, people with disabilities or elderly people or LGBT or Roma community, who one way or another might be more away from the normal practices on getting your trainings. And working with universities has been one good part of the work that we do with different groups. Another big step that we have started working already is startups and R&D, research and development. We're planning to open an excellence center, which means working with students so they can have, already we have an OT lab which have built with open sources inside the authority, where students from different universities have already started to come, work with the lab, see in practice how they can get involved, how they get the first training on cybersecurity on this field. And I think this is a work in progress, which we have started in around the country, but the plan is that we have, with a new center of excellence, with the development of the lab and with the new platforms, we open the opportunity to also have students who do their diploma thesis, who do their PhD thesis on issues on cybersecurity. So we give the chance not only simply to students, but we give a chance that the product that they can bring, it's helpful for different, like for the whole ecosystem of cybersecurity, or one company or one entity who really asks for a specific project.
Thank you. Any other question or comment? I have a question for all of you. So, innovation and emerging regulations, how this affects the situation. So, people innovate, but we need to regulate their innovations, because sometimes they might go out of control.
Albania has done, if we're talking for regulations on cybersecurity,
Yeah.
Albania has...
just a second. We always see in social media, I'm going agile management, agile business. Always every 2 or 3 months, new applications, new types of mobile phones. Who is going to control that? They are going out of control.
I don't think you can. I don't think you can stop innovation. I think innovation is a good thing. If I'm very, very honest with you. No, nor should we. Absolutely right. I'll answer this question very briefly if I can, because sadly I have to go and catch an aeroplane. So forgive me, but I don't think we can stop innovation. I think innovation is a good thing. Actually, I think some of the principles of secure development or secure by design are actually at the heart of this. I have seen many a product get developed that is fundamentally insecure. In fact, if you go and I was head of security for Capgemini Engineering for 5 years, I know lots and lots of manufacturers creating IoT products. The whole point is bring it to market quick, and don't worry about cyber. You therefore end up with all sorts of problems. So I'll leave the rest of the panel to answer that. Thank you, everybody. I must go. Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Well, the last question. So we talked about the cybersecurity. How we can connect with the physical security? It's a very important issue. Physical security, it's one of the most important pillars of being safe in our workplace or everywhere. So how we can make connection between both of these?
If I may?
Yeah.
Indeed. I'll catch both questions, your previous one and this last one, but let's start with the last one. Indeed, the data protection law covers both physical and cybersecurity questions, let's say. And the data protection law applies to both physical security and electronic one. So this is not a question as far as data protection law is concerned. As regards innovation, I think that I already responded to this question, because the spirit of the data protection law and the general data protection regulation is this one, to respond to the technological development. So let's not stop innovation, but let's tailor legislations that can respond and can regulate and can keep on the, on the proper side the technological development and innovation.
Which govern innovation at the end of the day.
they should go at the same step, but from the practical, let's say, perspective, we see that, at least in Albania, digitalization goes faster, and companies are enthusiastic when it comes to digitalization, but when it comes to taking the appropriate security measures, they are not keen on, let's say, spending money on security, and maybe this is not something enthusiastic, so we have to work on better. Thank you.
As a closing remarks, I would like to thank you, to our distinguished speakers, and to all attendees. Today we explored how strategy, business risk management, innovation, and trust intersect in Albania's cybersecurity ecosystem. So let's continue collaborating to build a safer and more resilient digital future. Thank you for being with us.